Hey, I kind of need to vent to my friends um, that aren't local. For those of you who don't know, first of all, hi, I'm Kelly. This is my station, Don't Run with Scissors. Um, Normally, we talk about my crazy life and we laugh about it because it's life, and we talk about my crazy dogs and the goofy things my kids are doing and all of that. And we talk about crafts and you know And I do have one finished that I need to show you guys because I have to get ready to FFO it so that I can send it off to my stitchy friends. For those of you who have been following around, so let me get that out of the way because the rest of this is kind of serious. And like I said, I really need to kind of be able to do this. So I set aside the gingerbread house. It was just stressing it out. And what I figured out is it is likely my choice in fabric. Usually when I'm having a trouble with a stitch, that is what it comes down to. So I switched my project. Thank you to Janet and to several of you who just said ditch the gingerbread house for now and do something else. So I went through my patterns and I found one that just, um, when you see it, you'll understand what I'm about to say. And that is that when I was a kid, this is a song that my grandmother used to put the record on the player. She had one of those big stereo consoles my grandparents did in their basement, and she would play this record and we would sing the song, and it just kind of reminded me of it. So when I saw the pattern before, I immediately had to buy it, and it is by a company on Etsy called My Darling Plum. And so I pulled that pattern out on Tuesday because needed I needed a happy stitch. So my Christmas ornament for my pal, once I FFO it, is going out, will be this. It's a little Christmas pineapple. And yeah. Um, okay. So now my serious. For those of you who don't know, I live in Michigan. Oxford, where the school shooting on Tuesday was, is a 15-minute drive from my house. I used to live in Oxford years ago. I lived in Oxford with a couple roommates. At the school Tuesday, there was a school shooting. And anytime that happens, that's devastating. But this one is in my backyard, essentially. And my teammate from my tri club lost his child. And another dear friend of mine who has been a staunch supporter through a lot of craziness in my life. Her son is a senior at Oxford. His girlfriend was one of the ones that was shot. And his best friend is one of the ones who was killed. And her brother, who I've met several times, is a police officer who was one of the first into the building. The fourth young man who passed, her brother held him in the school. Until they could get him out, get him to the hospital. And I just learned today that if the local hospital where he's at, he has passed, they are doing the walk of life. I think that's what it's called. His parents are honoring his memory. And I can't even imagine how they feel right now. But they are donating his organs so that somebody else may have a better life. And so we are all going to gather up at the hospital parking lot to show our support of them as they exit the hospital after saying goodbye to their son. As a parent, I can't imagine. And I'm so grateful that I can't. But my heart hurts. My heart hurts for my community. My heart hurts for my friends. My friend's son, had been, and this is going to sound so stupid on so many levels, and I hope people understand and appreciate what I'm going to say. This young man is he's remarkable, and he had got a job, and he had saved up, and he had just bought a brand new laptop, and he had it at school that day, because why else? And in an effort to help, where the shooter exited the bathroom, his classroom was essentially 4 doors down. There's a video that's going around about the shooter asking, like, basically trying to trick the kids into opening the doors. That was my friend's son's classroom. So in an effort of trying to barricade doors and throwing desks and chairs in front of the doors, my friend's son's laptop was broke. We know it's broke. We don't know if it's repairable because it's still at the school, and the school is closed and will be for quite some time. It is considered a crime scene. But right now, that's a controllable for him in some ways. That's something that he can fix or sort of hyper focus on in all of this craziness. So I am waiting to hear back from her as to what type of laptop that it was. My hope is to start either a GoFundMe or something so that we can buy this young man a new laptop. It's something I can control. The fourth victim who has lost his life, not only was my friend's brother the cop who held him at the school, come to find out that is my friend's co-worker's son. This is my backyard. I'm watching, the prosecutor in our area is Karen McDonald. She's a former judge. I've practiced in front of Judge McDonald, and I, out of habit, will call her Judge McDonald unless she's not a judge anymore. I have the utmost respect for her as a judge. I did not have any qualms about practicing in front of her at all, ever. Even when she made me frustrated, I knew that she was literally doing exactly what she needed to be doing in order to further fairness and equitability in whatever case, or injustice on whatever case I was working on. She treated us as lawyers with the utmost respect. She's always treated my clients with the utmost respect. I'm watching her as a prosecutor, and I can't imagine how she is handling, like, the way she is handling this, a whole new level of respect for her. Karen is a mom. Her kids are a little bit older. I think her youngest is 20, and her oldest is he's not quite 30. He's under 30. They've lived in this community for years. I don't know what the answers are to make this better. I suspect more people will be charged in the coming weeks, at least with with a negligence in regards to a duty to protect. I don't know that for sure. I have not spoken to Karen McDonald about any of that. These are purely my thoughts alone, based on what I have learned and heard. The charges that she has put forth are extremely appropriate. But even a conviction on all of that aren't going to bring those 4 young people back and heal those families. They're not going to make it better for the other children. And they're children. These are children. Or the teacher who were shot. And it's not going to make whole the rest of these kids who crawled through windows to safety. And I don't know how to make it better. I don't have answers. What I will do though is there's a couple 1-800 numbers. In the day after, we had about basically all the schools in the Tri-County area were closed, especially in I think every Oakland County school was closed. Pretty sure Macomb County, a lot of them were closed. There was a shooting in Southfield that was stopped because peers got involved and reported, or we would have been facing another tragedy in this area. Again, my heart breaks. I'm so grateful that the Wonder Twins are no longer in high school, but then I think shootings have happened on college campuses. Shooting could happen in Target. There is nothing I can do that can keep my children 100% safe. And that is a terrifying feeling as a mom. And then as somebody who's now studying ASL and wants to work more with the deaf community, I worry because I've asked now several people in my area who are leading advocates in the deaf community. You know, Oxford doesn't have a deaf program. I don't know that there's a deaf student in the school. But I said, how do we protect our deaf students? And I've had parents who I represent with kids with special needs, with IEPs and stuff, and how do I keep my kids safe? Like, how does that respond to a child? How do you teach a child? How do you say to a deaf kid who can't hear you, stay down? Get down. Shoot her. How do we do that? They're not going to hear the overhead talking. And without an ASL interpreter right next to them that schools don't want to pay for, that child is lost. How do you tell a kid who's got CP and is wheelchair bound, get on the floor? And when you're talking a lot of special ed rooms who have a teacher and maybe one parapro, how do they protect those kids? How do they get all of those kids out of a building safely? We have to do better. We've got to figure this out. And this is not the newest. This has gone on far, far too long, because I can remember being in law school and as a special assistant prosecutor up north right after Columbine happened. So you're talking 22 years ago. Having the copycat bomb threats called into the local school and having to prosecute a girl. And having to prosecute her because her parents didn't take it seriously enough to want to address the issue. So it hasn't. Like so many other things that we sit here and we say we need to change and we need to do better. We haven't. It's a lot of rhetoric and lip service by politicians. But you know what? None of the politicians are burying their 4 children for Christmas this year. And I'm glad they're not. Because I don't think anybody should have to bury your child over something that could have been stopped. And so, yeah, I'm going to ask each of you giving your kids extra time. Have those hard conversations. And if anybody has any ideas, let me know. Because I don't, as many degrees as I have, I don't have answers. And that sucks. So with that, know that I love and adore each one of you. That I pray for all of our safety. And I hope that tomorrow is a better day.